Breakfast at Hunt Camp. William Hovey Smith, 2024. This is Hovey Smith, the Backyard Sportsman. And today what we're going to be talking about is breakfast at Hunt Camp. When you're getting ready to go on a hunt in the morning, you and your crew have maybe about 15 minutes to eat. So you don't have time to do custom cooking. And what I've always advocated, if you go on a hunt, that you actually cook at home, pre-cook it, freeze it, and then take it out in the field to your hunt camp already cooked. That way all you have to do is make coffee and heat it, and it's ready to go, and you can give your crew a good, nutritious meal. Now, since I published my books, Backyard Deer Hunting, Extreme Muzzleloading, and Crossbow Hunting, all of which have recipes in them, including many of these, things have changed. For example, we now have almond milk, which keeps much better than regular cow's milk. Okay, and you can use it for all of these recipes, including the pumpkin pie and including the egg bread here. Okay, so that can be substituted volume for volume without any problem. Now, I'm also a diabetic, so that adds another area of complication. Now, I can eat some sugar fine, but I just can't be overloaded with the stuff. And pumpkin pie, like this one, this pumpkin pie uses a whole cup of sugar. Yeah. Well, what I made this with is 8 packets of the sugar imitation Splendor, and so on. So I cut out the sugar mostly. Now, concerning the steel cut oats here, these are good and nutritious, and I've added several things to them. These include almonds chopped up. These include fruit, and these also use for added protein Bob's Best beetles, sprinkled in and cooked. So with Bob's Best, you get an added protein kick, as well as what's in the oatmeal and the nuts and so on. So some extra nutrition for your hunters to go in the field. Now, on the egg bread here, this is yellow cornmeal. Yellow cornmeal is getting to be harder and harder to find. Now, I prefer muchly the coarse ground cornmeal of my youth, and there's only one source I can get it when I happen to be going in that direction, and I'm out of it. So this is store-bought cornmeal, and it's ground fine. Now, instead of lard, we have substituted olive oil. A little healthier. But we retain the whole teaspoon of sugar that goes in this. Now, this recipe calls for 3 eggs. I only had 2. I used to. Just fine. So, you can substitute and delete. If you don't have it, use what you got or make do. Now, concerning the pumpkin pie, I have videos about making pumpkin pie from real pumpkins. Yeah, I've done that. And you can look back and you can find them. I take the typical pumpkins people put out for decorations or buy them at practically giveaway prices after Halloween and Thanksgiving and Christmas, and make pumpkin pies. But I also had this can of pumpkin from God only knows how long. So we used it this time. Now, this is just raw pumpkin. It has no seasonings in it. It has no spices in it. So you make up your spiced blend with a mortar and pestle. Now, if you know a friend who cooks and doesn't have one of these things, by all means buy them one for a present, because they need it. If you know someone who's getting married, buy them one. Yeah, these are extremely useful. So, what the recipe calls for is a 1/4 teaspoon of cloves. Now cloves, you can buy them ground, but most of the time they are a little sticky things like this. And so you grind them up in your with your mortar and pestle. And you also grind up all your other spices and sugar all together. Now this keeps them from clumping up. You don't want to bite in your pumpkin pie and come up with 1/2 teaspoon of spices all in one slug. You don't want that to happen. Now, we have sea salt here. All these recipes call for a little salt. It's used to enhance flavor, and it does. Now the thing about sea salt is it comes from a grinder, usually comes out very coarse. And the way to use that is to mix it with some liquid ingredient and dissolve it first. That way you're assured it's more equally distributed and you don't all of a sudden eat on your pumpkin pie and go crunch on a salt grain. Also, to ease your cooking somewhat, this is Progresso soup. It's popular these days and it comes in many varieties and flavors. This happens to be a creamy chicken and mushroom with barley, which was discount priced. Yes, sir. To further enhance this for hunt camp, I added a whole chopped up onion and a can of corn and then mixed that up. That extended the stew. Now, you could have added other things. You could have added ground deer meat, for example, that was brown. That would have done just as well in that and bulked it up and made it really a one-pot meal. So these are some of the adaptations you can do. I also use a mortar and pestle to coarse grind peppers. And these are various colors, and they don't all taste the same, but they add a useful amount of flavor. So, how does this stuff taste? Well, it tastes very good, including the oatmeal here. Now, another convention in hunt camp is, if you start complaining about the food, you become the next cook. Now, at hunt camp, I cook it, and if you don't eat it, you go hungry, period. You'll probably see it again the next day, and the next. So, you eat what's set before you and you keep your mouth shut, unless you want to cook it yourself. I'll go to the Waffle House down here, and by the time you get back, the hunt party's already left. Woof! Well, actually, that might not be all bad. Yesterday, for example, I went out in the morning, first thing, and saw absolutely nothing. Today, I'm going to go out about 2 o'clock. Where the day before yesterday, I actually saw some deer moving. So, I think they are moving in the mid-afternoon. Although this is complicated because we're supposed to have a record hot day tomorrow. It's going to be 91 degrees. All right, you go and you take your chances. Now, about the egg bread here. Right now, I've got a pat of butter on it. Okay. And being a Southerner, I like my cane syrup on it. Yeah. Again, I'm a diabetic, so moderation in all things. But I can eat this okay if I do work following to sort of work it off, which I undoubtedly will do. So, yeah, you can take a few breaks like this. Just don't go overboard with it. Don't take a bunch of candy out in your pack after you have consumed this. All right. So these are a few tips about cooking your breakfast food. Now, about the Beatles. No, these aren't really Bud's Best. What these are the seed from kiwi fruit, which I happen to have and cooked up in my oatmeal. And they separated, and yeah, they look sort of like insects, but they're not. But now, this is Hovey Smith, reminding you to hunt what you eat and eat what you hunt. Be legal, be ethical, be safe, goodbye, God bless, and see you next time.